because a 42-point beatdown, the worst loss in playoff franchise history. Not too many takeaways that I'd be hanging my hat on moving forward if I'm Mark Daigneault in the Oklahoma City Thunder. He's Myron Medcalf. I'm Courtney Cronin. This is Unsportsmanlike on ESPN Radio and ESPN2. Unsportsmanlike brought to you by 5 Hour Energy, introducing spicy Cinco de Mango, sweet, spicy, and a tad unhinged. It's a spicy chill flavor followed by a sweet mango flavor. Yes, a spicy energy shot. I might be trying one of those this morning. Only available at 5hourenergy.com for a limited time or while supplies last. Like, was that what Anthony Edwards had before Game 3? Because
Cinco de Mango, yeah, probably.
I don't
That's
know.
A great name, by the way. It's a really good name.
It can last all month, even though we are well past Cinco de Mayo. I think that the Minnesota Timberwolves, everybody would have had one of those on Saturday night. But no, I mean, all jokes aside, this is exactly what Chris Finch has been telling us that they need from Anthony Edwards. He got the message delivered loud and clear after Game 1 of the Warriors series that you can't have 1 point in a half of basketball. You need to have an attacking mindset. You need to be the spark plug for this team. And what you got out of him after in Game 3, 141-101, that is a real final score that happened on Saturday night. But Anthony Edwards' contributions here, Myron, you expect them to be big. You expect him to put up 30 on your opponent, but I'm still stunned by how thick Minnesota laid it on in going home after losing those first two games in Oklahoma City.
Yeah, I mean, Terrence Shannon Jr. outscored SGA. I mean, that's really all you need to know. I mean, that was an incredible performance. Anthony Edwards leading the charge. And my thought, Courtney, coming to the series was Anthony Edwards is going to have to be the best player on the court. Even though Oklahoma City has the MVP, Anthony Edwards, I thought, had to be the man, had to be the dude that everyone could say, okay, he is certainly on that level in order for the Timberwolves to have a shot. And he came out, to your point, and led this team in what might have been the greatest Timberwolves playoff performance ever. 72 points in the first half, franchise record. They did it, and they did it big. But now comes the next question. Can you play to the same level when you know Oklahoma City is going to punch back? So I think this is a Minnesota Timberwolves team that showed you how good they can be. Now let's see how consistent they can be. Yeah,
I mean, they made 23 pointers. That's not something consistently in this series where they've been taking a lot of shots from three and missing a lot of shots from three. When you connect on those, you're going obviously the obvious thing there is that, you're going to have a little bit more success, and you did in Game 1 when you're 15 of 51. That's not basketball, but it's where those contributions are coming from. They had 7 players make multiple three-pointers, the most in a playoff game for them, and you saw where it started. It started with Anthony Edwards, and I'm curious here. I want to hear from Anthony Edwards after the game on Saturday, the specific adjustments in relation to that, and maybe some elsewhere that helped the Timberwolves pull out a 42-point victory.
The adjustments is really not the biggest thing. It's about just bringing energy with a team like this. OKC play with a ton of energy, no matter what. First through the fourth quarter. So I'm just trying to exceed their energy or match it at least. That was the most important thing today, and I think we did that.
Did you feel you had great energy today?
Yeah, I think so.
I mean, for as much as it holds true, it is about adjustments, though, because what were we just talking about previously with Tom Thibodeau in the Eastern Conference Finals and what happened in Game 3? You change the lineup, you change your luck. You defer to guys further down the bench, you get contributions in the fourth quarter, you close out a team on the road. Minnesota did it in their own building on Saturday, but sometimes I think Chris Finch forgets that Terrence Shannon Jr. is on this team and on this roster because they are a deep team. They're probably, of the teams that are left in the postseason between the four. I'd say it's Oklahoma City because they are deeper than anybody else. But look at what you got contribution-wise from the Minnesota Timberwolves on Saturday, whether it was Leonard Miller, Naz Reid, obviously, Dante DiVincenzo, Nickeil Alexander-Walker, the usuals. But then being able to get 15 from Terrence Shannon Jr., who, as you just mentioned, the rookie outscoring the MVP in Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Like, that's a Chris Finch thing. That's a coaching decision to put him in that position.
Yeah, and Anthony Edwards had opened up the door to kind of play everybody. They could have put me out there at one point, Courtney. I mean, they were so far ahead. I don't know that it would have made a difference. But I think that the biggest adjustment that they made, as much as we're talking about the energy they had on offense, because that was sort of the driving force, it was the defensive energy. Like, if you watch the game, Oklahoma City had nothing in transition. SGA, you got to give Jaden McDaniels a ton of credit for the way he defended him early and really put him in a phone booth. And then there wasn't a lot that Oklahoma City could do. They weren't allowed to run in transition, get all these fast break points, use their athleticism and their length. And the Timberwolves played with as much energy on defense as they had on offense. And that's what it's going to take to beat Oklahoma City. This is a team that won the Western Conference by 16 games. The Houston Rockets were 16 games behind Oklahoma City in the Western Conference during the regular season. That's how good they have been over the course of 82 games. And I think the Minnesota Timberwolves know that you got to play at the highest level on both ends of the floor to have a shot against the number one seed.
Okay, so on the other side of this is Oklahoma City. We're praising Minnesota, and rightfully so. And I know that all of Minnesota Timberwolves and their fan base are happy that Jaden Daniels kind of put Shai Gilgeous-Alexander in his place. Every time he tried to draw contact, the free throw merchant, I believe is what they call him on social media.
It's a great name.
It was Jaden McDaniels who really made him earn any trip that he had to the charity stripe. But I question, is this just an anomaly? Is this a situation where you get down by 20 and the team's like, all right, just like, let's not expend the energy here to try to get back in this thing. We're on the road. We know this could be a long series. Or do you think this is actually like a bad sign going into Game 4 tonight?
It felt like they kind of surrendered early. I mean, SGA didn't play a ton in the second quarter. Chet Holmgren either. They brought them both back, obviously in the second half. But I think they kind of knew. I mean, it's the NBA. You're up 30, 40 points. It's probably over. But now it's, to me, how do you reset mentally? I think the thing about this Oklahoma City team is they have the highest ceiling in the NBA. They were the best team in the league. And I think they proved that over the course of the season. But they also have these moments where you go, okay, they look pretty young. Maybe they're a little overconfident. We saw that against Denver in multiple games. We saw a game against Memphis where Memphis had no business being that close to Oklahoma City and had a big lead against them. So I think they have these moments where they take these commercial breaks in the middle of games, and that'll cost you a series. So I think they've got to figure out, okay, how do we make sure that doesn't happen again? But I think tonight could be completely different. I don't know what you learned from Game 3, but Minnesota has to play with the same intensity to have a shot tonight.
Yeah, I mean, Shai played 28 minutes on. They emptied the bench. They emptied everybody onto the floor to be able to. Once you start waving that white flag, and they waved it early, that was a blowout at halftime. And to watch like how they respond tonight, I think will tell you what we're looking at with this series, whether it goes 6 or whether this ends up being a series that stands the entire 7 games that are allotted here. I don't put much stock into what happened the other night. Like, yes, I mean, for Minnesota to have a statement like that, as Anthony Edwards said, it was the energy that they brought. Can you do it in Game 4? Because we've seen moments where, okay, let the lights on. Like, isn't that what Chris Finch told Anthony Edwards after the Game 1 of the Warriors series? Like, you got to find the light and keep it on. Like, do you do that again? Like, are they capable of doing that? Sure. But I don't think they're going to get the same sort of, now it being a 2-1 series, I don't think you're getting that same sort of, mindset from the Oklahoma City Thunder. Like, you can have about one of those games in the playoffs when you pull your starters where it's, a 20-point, then 30-point, then 42-point game. You realize that you have no business trying to get back in that. I think they'll be fine. But, Was it jarring? Yes. Is it alarming? Probably not. They still are the best team in the Western Conference with the best record in the MVP. I think you'll see a much closer game than that in Game 4, and you can hear that coverage. You can see the game on ESPN. You can hear it on ESPN Radio tonight. Coverage beginning 8 p.m. Eastern Time on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app. Courtney Cronin, Myron Medcalf with you here on Unsportsmanlike, presented by Progressive Insurance. Straight ahead, is it over for the millennials of the NBA? We'll tell you that coming up next here, ESPN Radio and the ESPN app.
What up and what's good?
Xin chào tất cả các bạn đã đến với kênh YouTube của mình. Kênh YouTube của mình là kênh chuyên sáng tạo nội dung cắt dán này các bạn này. nội dung cắt dán. Những đây trước mặt của mình đây là nơi làm việc của mình này, bao là nơi làm việc của mình, có những sản phẩm của mình đã làm xong này, làm xong cắt dán hoàn chỉnh rồi, rất nhiều những sản phẩm đây, rất nhiều sản phẩm này các bạn này. Và để tạo ra được những sản phẩm đẹp như này cho các bạn xem thì mình sẽ cần những dụng cụ như sau. Đây là những giấy thủ công màu của mình này, giấy thủ công màu rất nhiều màu sắc. Mình sẽ chọn là một số màu sắc ra cho các bạn xem nha. Đây là một số những màu tiêu biểu để mình tạo ra những sản phẩm như thế này. Đấy. Và để tạo ra được những sản phẩm này thì mình sẽ cần những dụng cụ phụ bổ trợ như là bút dạ này, bút dạ để mình vẽ này. Rồi mình sẽ vẽ cái ô tô cho các bạn xem nha, ví dụ như này đi. Đấy. Cái ô tô này đi. Đấy. Đấy, ví dụ như mình đang vẽ cái ô tô này. Đấy, mình sẽ dùng những sản phẩm này, mình sẽ cùng kéo cắt. Đấy, thì sẽ ra được những sản phẩm ví dụ như này. Đấy, lọ đây đẹp bao la. Thì để những sản phẩm được đẹp và nhiều màu sắc thì mình sẽ dùng thêm hồ dán để dán thêm những điểm nhấn đây, những điểm nhấn cho sản phẩm. Và trong quá trình tạo ra sản phẩm của mình không thể thiếu được một chiếc chân kẹp điện thoại. Đây là chiếc điện thoại mình quay lại quá trình